Copy?
No, you good.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're back. We're back with Gareth. So we left off, Gareth, on you telling us. So let's ask the question again. What does fatherhood mean to you?
Yeah, actually, I was fatherhood really for me is more than just like some people call a dad a father, right? I think a dad is a terminology of somebody that just creates a child, but a father is a little bit more than that, right? I think a father, when you think about it from the biblical perspective, is someone that not only creates but also helps to nurture, grow, develop, dart in the right direction, provide guidance and leadership for your seed or for your child. For me, our pastor talks about all the time the importance of when you think about parenting. It's not only growing a child and developing a child, but it's also growing you as a person as well. And really understand, especially when you think about it from how God has been a father to us, right? And He helps us to grow. It's really you being that that individual that's growing more as you're raising your child. I mean, I tell you from my perspective, I've learned more patience through raising children than I probably would ever learn in any other process that I can recall. So that's probably my perspective.
Yeah, that's true, man. Because children will teach you patience. Shit, they will teach you patience. Hey, mom, my mom is watching. Um,
Hi,
and
Mom.
I I learned that, man, with my son, because he'll be like, I want daddy, I want that, daddy, I want this. Okay, son, give me it. I want it now, daddy. Daddy, I want that. And then sometimes you can get frustrated with them, but you like try to teach them patience. You gotta learn patience because you want to teach them, hey, you gotta wait. Be patient, son. Be careful. You just don't rush. And daddy's gonna get it, but just give me a minute. I'm in the middle of something. Okay, I want it now. He got to stay weird. Wah, fake like you crying. Wah, like, boy. But they teach us that because we have to learn patience in order to raise them. Um, what's your favorite part of being a father, Gareth? You there? Hello? Guys telling me text him, tell him to try it again.
Something's wrong with it. He'd frozen a long before you even asked him.
Oh, but he's gonna come back, guys. Um, but we're talking about favorite part of being a father, guys. I'm telling you, kids are funny and they will teach you patience. I'm learning that, like I said, I'm learning that with Caleb. I'm learning how to uh, be patient with him with his learning. I'm learning how to, because sometimes we as parents we can want our kids to pick up things like that, learn everything like that, and they don't always do that. We have to be patient with them and teaching them how to develop and helping them develop. And again, it teaches us patience, but it teaches us how to develop as parents along with them. Guys, if you guys are enjoying this, I apologize for the technical difficulties, but if you guys are enjoying these interviews, let me know, guys. I want to hear from you. Email me at krelationships@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. He's back. You good?
Yeah, I think there's something God want me to share that the enemy don't want you guys to know about or something, man.
Right. And I believe that, the enemy try to mess it up so we won't get this out. But you were telling me what's the best part of being a father?
Oh, oh man. The best part of being a father really for me is watching the love that my daughters give back to me. I mean, and even in the way like when I don't even ask for it. For example, when I came home earlier tonight, my daughters they didn't even know I was in the house yet. But when they heard daddy's voice, it was almost like something clicked on the inside of them and they wanted to run toward daddy. And then they all came and gave me hugs and they were very excited, right? And I'm not, and I don't say that just for the fact that I have them running back to me. I say that for the fact that there's something that's created in in the process of me being a father to my daughters that I didn't necessarily have when I was growing up, right? Where I didn't, when, there wasn't any time when somebody came home and it was like my dad, and I ran to that. And I think for me, that shows the importance of and the power of like really a father's life in a child's life, right? Or father's role in a child's life. So that's really kind of one of the most, I'd say one of the, if I give you one more exciting thing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I grew up playing football. I don't have any sons, and I'm grateful for God for giving me daughters because it's taught me a lot as a male. But I'm a dance dad. So I go to dance on Saturdays, and I tell my wife, look, I'll do dance dad. Let me do that, and really for me is look, just being a part of their lives, helping them to understand and work their way through different matters. Even in dance class, there's lessons that they have to learn. Lessons about, yes, I know in this gym you hear things being played that we don't listen to at home, but there's a reason why we don't listen to that at home. So having to really teach them things like that. So there's a lot of lessons throughout every day that I deal with I'm with my girls.
So let me ask you, as a dance dad, are you learning the routines and practicing at home, helping with their routines?
Hey man, I did have to actually do one. There was one class that the instructor didn't show up, so myself and another parent had to go in and actually do the class. She did the teaching. I did more the administrative side of the thing. So
yeah. I bet there's a video somewhere showing you teaching them dances. I actually over Facebook message your wife and ask her to give us some video.
Oh man, look, if she give you some video, man, we're gonna have some. I don't know, man.
So how important are a father's words to his child?
For me to have 3 girls that don't lose a memory of anything I say, man, it's so important. Many people have no idea how important it is. When you say something like, I'm proud of you, I'm happy that you've done certain things, there have been moments even where I've been disappointed, and I'll tell my daughter Grace I'm disappointed. Now Grace is one that she's so emotionally connected into knowing when her father says something, like she'll start crying because she knows she doesn't want to hear those words from her dad. And it's similar to me. I don't want to hear that from my dad, or I don't want to hear that from God. It's extremely important. Your words have power, and the word talks about that. And and that goes beyond just being a father, but it's that much more important when it comes to, from a father's standpoint, because this is a seed or a child that you have created along with your wife. So making sure that you're pouring positive words into them, encouraging them, teaching them. And when they do disappoint, making sure they know that they disappointed, but then not only saying you're disappointed, but giving them the instruction on, this is how you cannot disappoint in the future if you do this and this and this and that and the other. I'm not saying they have to be perfect, but you teach them that although you're disappointed in this matter, you can now bounce back from that, right, by doing X, Y, Z. So it's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah, and that's good, and it's important that our kids know that. I'm big on words, and I talk about the importance and power of words all the time. That's one of the main reasons why I started this, because when my son was born, I tell a story all the time, and I feel it's worth telling again. When my son was born, I was terrified because I was asking God, what am I going to teach him? What am I going to say to him? I didn't have my father. I had bits of wisdom. I had wisdom from role models and mentors, but it's different when you have that wisdom from your father that, my daddy said this. And I was like, what am I going to teach my son? And then God gave me these things to teach him. But the main thing that God showed me that's important for me to interact with him is what I say to him. Yes. And how I say it. And because I've seen people where I was told coming up that I was slow, I wasn't going to be anything. I was going to always just be a certain way. And coming up, I thought that, that I wasn't going to be anything. I was slow, and I didn't have a lot of confidence until I got older and got more mentors that got in high school and things like that. But one thing, my godfather would never let me accept that. He would always tell me, "This is how I want you to be. This is how you're going to be." And those words helped me. See, when we speak into our children, we speak into their future. When we talk, our words go with them into their life, because you have daughters. So what you say to them shapes the type of guy they marry. How you talk to them shapes how they allow men to talk to them. Your daughter, as she gets older, become a teenager, she could go out and meet a guy that try to talk to her any kind of way. She's like, hold up, my daddy didn't talk to me like that.
Absolutely.
So you could talk to me like that. Same, my son, how I treat my wife, treat his mother, he'll go out and he'll meet a female and he'll think, well, daddy said this to mom, so let me say this, let me do things like this. So that's what we have to realize as dads, that our words shape our kids' future. Our words shape their character. Our words shape their identity. Because what if you just said to your girls all the time, you're nothing, you're not going to be anything. Yeah, you disappointed me. Yeah, I'm mad at you. So then they're going to be like, they're going to accept that. But, as a father, our words, I go back, and I'm not going to get too long-winded on this, but when you go back to, I believe Zechariah in the Bible, before John the Baptist was born, when the angel told him they were going to have a baby, before he could even say anything, the angel shut his mouth up. He couldn't say anything for the whole 9 months. Well, we don't know if she was pregnant at the time, so it could have been for longer than that.
That's true.
Until the baby was born, because his words literally would have stopped the pregnancy if he had spoken doubt. And so,
absolutely,
the father's words are so important to the lives of our children. What advice would you give your children about greatness?
Well, Nate, actually, let me add something to that words piece, though. I want to say this, when you were talking about that, and I got this water bottle right here. I'm envisioning kind of an empty bottle, right? And the more and more we talk, our words fill that bottle up, and this bottle becomes whatever our words say. And so I think our children are just like that. Literally, God gives me visions like that to see things. And that like literally is it. I mean, you fill them up with those words, and that's what's going to come out of them too. Because that's the other thing too. It's not only the words you say to them, it's what they listen to, it's what they're exposed to, the environments they're in, because those things that come in their ear gates, their eye gates, those things that go in and will eventually come out. Because what goes in the heart, you know what that means. It'll come out. So
yeah, that's true. I see that with my son, and I have to, because one day we was in a car and he was just on his iPad in the back seat, and I was driving. I said, "Oh shoot!" He said, "Oh shoot!" Never looked up. Just like, on his iPad, like, "Oh shoot!" And then we have this thing, and I said this all the time. We have this thing where every morning when I drop him off at school, I get eye level with him. I grab him and I said, "Son, you're great. You're a champion. You could do anything, and Jesus loves you. Be great and do great today." So when he come home from school, I say, "Son, what you do today?" "I was great." And he said things. So like today, I dropped him off. I said, "Son, what are you?" He said, "I'm great." I said, "What are you?" He said, "A champion." I said, "What can you do?" He said, "Anything." I said, "And?" He said, "And Jesus loves me." I was like, he got it.
There you go. There you go.
Because he's able to recite it back to me, because now when he knows that daddy's going to say that to him in the morning, so now he knows that. So now he's going to grow up and he's going to be thinking that as long as I keep saying it to him, in his mind, he is great. He's a champion. He can do anything. And I see that coming out of when he's doing stuff around the house. He's like, "Daddy, I can do it." I said, "Son, you can hurt yourself. I'm going to be careful. I can do it, Daddy." And I'm seeing that to the point where I want to put those up in his room on the walls when he wakes up. He sees that. But like you said, when we fill it up, we fill these water bottles up. And then when we go to drink, we're drinking what we put, what they put in here. So we're drinking nourishment. Same to our kids' words. They're getting nourishment when we speak it to them. Man, that's good. True. I like the water bottle analogy. So what advice would you give your children about greatness? What would you tell your girls about greatness?
Man, I when I think about greatness, I think about kind of the unbelievable in some people's mind, right? I think about David in the Bible. I think about like some of the things that people said he couldn't do. So as far as greatness goes, I mean, I try to teach my girls that they could do anything they want to do in the world, and there's nothing that can hold them back from that. And one of the other things that we're always doing is, I mean, it's always words of affirmation, those positive words about really you can go beyond just where this mark shows today. So, for example, you probably heard the story about the marathons and about how people who run marathons. There were a certain limit on marathons early on, saying that people could only go so far. So I try to teach them, like, there's a certain level and you can continue to take that up even further. And there's a quote that I've kind of lived on since I was in high school, and that quote is high achievement takes place in the framework of high expectations. And I want them to make sure they have those high expectations no matter what's going on in every situation. So I try to make sure they understand that. We continue to take it up every time, take it up a notch. You did a great job yesterday. You read a whole book yesterday. Let's read 2 today. Let's see how far you can get through more. Or like, and sometimes they'll challenge me. They'll say things like, Dad, I wrote all my numbers out on my whole page. And I'll say, well, that's great. You went all the way to 10. Why don't you go to 20 now? And they'll say, no, I want to go to 1,000. And Dad, can you help me write it out? So like they're already kind of doing that in their mind. They're trying to take it to the next level continuously. So
that's good. That's good. And you're teaching them to have no limits on their lives, and that's what we have to teach our children, because sometimes we put limits on our children by telling them, you can't do something, or you don't want to do that. You want to do this, or we try to put on them what we want. I gave this example before. I'm a drummer, and you are too. But he's a drummer, guys. But my son, when he came out the first time, put a pair of drumsticks in his hand, he knew what to do. He started shaking them. And I don't know if that was just a baby reflex or not, but I was like, oh, yeah. He likes the drums, but it's not something that he's like has to do. And I was asked that, what if your son doesn't play drums? And I said, whatever he wants to do, I'm fine. He likes to sing. I'm not going to be mad if he don't play drums. Now, I would be greatly happy, if that's the way to put it, if he played. If he didn't play a musical instrument, I know it's in him because it's in me. But if he sings because my wife sings, then that's great too. My wife says she wanted him to learn guitar. Would I have a problem with that? No, I wouldn't. Because I don't want to force on him what I want him to do, what I think is greatness for him. And we put limits. Another example, I asked him tonight. Well, one day he was in school and they got a thing on his board where it says, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said police officer on his. And I was like, no, I was telling you, but then I caught myself. So I was like, I can't tell him no. You want to be a police officer because of my fears of him getting of what happened to a police officer, or he may get shot. I mean, he's protected by God. So I said to him that, well, son, if you want to be a police officer, you're going to be the best police officer there is. You be the best at anything you do, because sometimes we think because we didn't want to do that, or we don't want them to do that, that we hold them back. And as parents, we got to be careful because it puts limits on them. And we got to tell them what's great, that they're great, and help them to do things that's going to help them achieve greatness. Now, we know what's right and wrong. And we have to look at, okay, so with son, no, you can't do that. That's not right. No, that's not a good thing to do. Let's look at something else. Let's do this. But you're still not putting limits on them because you're just stopping them from going the wrong way and down the wrong path. But I think it's important that we teach them greatness. I want to ask you, and I was thinking about this while we were talking, and I've talked to guys who didn't have their fathers in their life, and I've never thought to ask this question. How did your father impact how you're teaching, raising your girls? Okay, you didn't have your father in your life, then he came in your life. How did that impact your interaction with your girls and you raising your girls?
Man, I am that's an easy one for me. I'll tell you why, because I could tell I know why I am the way I am, and it's because of that. I actually am very careful about, saying things that I don't follow through on. I'm very careful about, not spending time with them. Like if I'm, for example, on the weekends, what you typically catch me doing is you catch me in the evening times. I try to make sure I'm doing day trips, so I'm back home in the evening, if every night, because I want to make sure that I'm getting every moment with them. I'm helping to craft and really drive them. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that I didn't have my dad. I mean, literally, it was like I don't want to say there were no boundaries, but the boundaries were not as strict as I probably would have. What they probably would have been if there was a dad in my life. Because I was a little bit of a hard head to my mom at times. So, really, I think for me, it really forces me to focus that much more on making sure that I'm careful about what I say to them. I'm careful about every interaction I have with them. I'm careful about how I treat them. I'm really, really, I mean, I think I'm more dialed in, if that means, because I'm trying, it feels like I'm almost trying to overcompensate because for something that I didn't have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense because I'm the same way with my son, man. I even as far as like doing these interviews, at first I was doing them at 7 because I got off work at 5:30. I come home and I play with my son, spend time with him, and give him his time before I came on. But then when our work hours changed, when the daylight savings time changed, I get off at 6. So to do them at 7, the first week I did it at 7, getting off at 6, he was really, really frustrated because he didn't get to spend time with daddy when I got home because that's the first thing I do. So I had to think about what's important. And important was time with him. So I said I have to shift him to so I can give him his time between 6 and 7. And that's important. Now he's
Mhm.
happy because when daddy come home, daddy gets to play with him, daddy gets to spend time with him. And I'd really rather spend time with my son than anything else. I was talking to somebody about that last night. He gets my time. It's important that he gets my
Yeah.
time. So this has been good, man. So let me ask you, give some advice, some nuggets to fathers out there. What piece of advice would you give to our fathers out there who may be new fathers, may not be in the lives of their children, or maybe are in the lives of their children, but give a couple of nuggets to the fathers out there.
Absolutely. I think, the first thing I say to any father out there that is a new father is enjoy every moment and every season, even the difficult seasons, because it helps you to appreciate the great seasons as they come in the future. That's a gift to any new father. Really, really make sure you have a regimen around praying with your children and teaching them the importance of prayer and even sharing the word with them. I think that's extremely important, because I think a lot of times, we that one of our children may say, and really sometimes our children do actually hear from God. So we need to make sure that we're listening to them, and part of listening to them and making sure they understand the importance of knowing who God is making sure you give weight to when they say something or when they share something. This past weekend, weekends ago, we were at a conference, and there's a pastor that shares about when his kids were growing up. They were I used to say, Daddy, I saw something under my bed, or Daddy, I saw something in the. Most parents would just minimize that and say, no, go back to sleep. You didn't see anything. There's nothing in your room. But really, rather than doing that, what he would do is he'd actually spend time and listen to them and say, what did you see? Why don't you describe it for me? And then allow them to help them utilize the word of God to kind of combat that thing. We have no fear of sudden disaster. God has given us authority over all the earth. So making sure that they spoke word over that thing. So he really taught them. And that's something I tell you as fathers, if you're new, and even if you're a new father newly in your kid's life, really take that time and really help them grow in the word and show them and spend your time in the word too, because you won't be able to help them grow if you're not spending time in the word. For a father that is not in their child's life and that probably thinks that it's too late to do so, I'd say you really need to um, to reflect on yourself. As difficult as it's gonna be, reflect on the things that you've done, the things that you probably think that they won't be accepted, and put those things all to the side and go humble yourself, interject yourself back into the life of your son or daughter. The reason that I'm telling you that is because until you do so, there'll always be a void in your life. Until you do so, there will always be a void in your life. Miss out on things that God wants you to learn. You'll miss out on things that God wants other people to learn that are around you watching. So take the opportunity to humble yourself and go spend time with your child. Um, and when you do so, it may be difficult. You may have a mother that may not want you involved in their life, but you have to do everything when they don't treat you like you're supposed to be doing. Everything sure that you are persistent, you're consistent to try to be in that child's life, because you're and no matter if you tell yourself that you don't love that they may not love you, that I gotta tell you, focus on getting back in your child's life.
Man, that's good, man.
And lastly, for anybody that's in a that's considering having a child, or you and your wife having or thinking about having a child, really take the time to pray about that child now and before and in the future. You want to pray for not only them now and their future. You want to pray for their husband or their wife, depending on what you want to pray just consistently, even early on, for those things that you can kind of craft that even now as a father.
That's good, man. Because my wife, you best believe she's praying for. We're both praying for Caleb's wife, because she's got to meet some expectations.
All right.
And if we ever have a daughter, going to be the same thing, because her husband's going to have to meet some expectations, man. But we thank you, Gareth.
See you, but I don't hear you.
You don't hear me? Can you hear me? You hear me? Can you hear me? Hear me? Okay, so you can hear me. Man, we thank you for being on tonight. Apologize for the technical difficulties, but we have technology can do that sometimes. Man, I appreciate you.
Thank you. Yes.
For coming on and for sharing this wisdom, man. I love to have you on again. You can hear me?
Yes.
I think we got some delay. But Gareth, man, if you can hear me, thank you for coming on tonight. We appreciate you. And you be blessed, man. Thank you for the words of wisdom. Guys, we had a great time tonight. If you have any questions at all for me, for Gareth, if you have questions, email us at krelationships.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Email us at krelationships.com, at krelationships@gmail.com, or you can go to our website at kingdomrelationships.org, or you can email Gareth on Facebook Messenger, and he can give you his email address information. Have a question for him. Guys, thank you for coming on tonight. This was great. Really enjoy having you guys. Until next week. Again, guys, next week, I believe we are about to start our series with interviewing some females from a daughter's perspective. So you guys look out for that. We got some great things coming to Father's Authority. Appreciate you. Love you guys. You guys be blessed.
All right.